Chapter 1. Broke is a mindset. Don't ever have that mindset. A mindset of abundance will do wonders for your bank account. There is too much money moving around the world. Find the opportunities and the right people, and you too can have a piece of the cash flow. This means that you can learn how to never be broke again. It is a skill like any other skill. That being said, the best way to build a mindset is to live experiences. In 2015, I invested all my money except $30 and told myself, if I don't find a way to make more money this week, I will not be able to eat during the weekend. In 2016, I went down to Montreal without a dollar for a place to stay or a way to get back home, which was about an hour and a half drive from my city in Trois-Rivières, and I gave myself 48 hours to enjoy Montreal while also figuring out a way to get back home before teaching class on Monday. These experiments were inspired by Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla Motors, where he talks about living off $30 a week and having to focus his energy towards finding ways to make more income in order to pay for rent and groceries. Once your back is against the wall and being broke is no longer an option, you will do anything to find a way. This also trains you how to handle being broke and use it as leverage to take action. This book will be filled with paradoxes, the first one being the following. In order to learn how to never be broke ever again, you must put yourself in a position of being more broke than you have ever been before. The easiest way to get the mindset of never being broke is to confidently know that even if you go broke, you have the skills and creativity to get yourself out of that position quickly and stay out of this position. Once you can confidently go broke and still feel secure, you will start to feel as if you have more than enough. Being grateful for all that you have when you have nothing is an amazing feeling. And trust me, if you live in the Western world like I do, we have a lot to be grateful for. This feeling is what I call abundance. In my first book, Dasein's Journal, a collection of philosophical thought, I dove deep into the idea of abundance. I have included the 17th chapter of my first book within this one. Our first call to action. For your first call to action, read Life of Abundance and Paradigms of Having, Doing, and Being in the beginning of this book from Dasein's Journal, a collection of philosophical thought. This will kickstart the questioning process necessary to adopting a mindset of abundance. Also, start paying attention to your thoughts. Anytime you catch yourself saying, I am broke, quickly reframe your thoughts and tell yourself, I'm not broke. There is money and opportunities everywhere. I just need to find where they are. Whenever you tell yourself, I can't afford that, reframe that thought by asking yourself, how can I afford that? By paying closer attention to your self-sabotaging thoughts, you will be taking the first step towards a mindset of abundance. This type of inner work can also be applied to other aspects of your life outside of finances. Be creative. You'll be surprised what you can accomplish once you genuinely believe in yourself and start asking yourself the right questions. Life of Abundance and the Paradigms of Having, Doing, and Being. A life of abundance is a life of openness where one has everything one has ever dreamed of and more. This life of utmost freedom is contrasted with a life of scarcity, where one is always reaching for more, or worse, trying to run away from their current position lacking. The question one must ask oneself is the following. Do I want an abundant life, or am I already satisfied with how my life is at this very moment? One may decide to become abundant and reach the goal of an abundant life, yet the motivation behind seeking an abundant life can affect the path towards this goal. One may seek abundance because he's in scarcity, meaning not having enough or not being where one wants to be. This is a good motivation to go from a lower place of existence towards a higher place that is effectively a place of abundance. However, one can also come from a place where she realizes that she is already in a place where a life of abundance is exactly what they deserve. Depending on one's motivation, the road towards being abundant may be easier or harder. The paradox with both motivations towards a life of abundance is that abundance, at first glance, deals with what we have, yet once a life of abundance has been attained, one will realize that they do not have abundance, but they are abundant and always have been abundant. The paradox of abundance is, therefore, a paradox of having and being. One can have everything one may think that they need in life, yet still be in scarcity due to not coming from a place of being abundant. Whereas one can have little to nothing, yet still be abundant by authentically existing in a place of having more than enough. In general terms, once the being has been handled, the having paradigm and even the doing paradigm become part of who you are. To quickly discuss the paradigms of having, doing, and being, we will look at each paradigm separately and then look at how they relate to each other. First of all, the paradigm of having is where one identifies with what he has. This can include, but is not limited to, material objects, money, relationships and friendships, success, etc. The issue with this lower paradigm is that the promise that life is constantly changing, any drastic change to what one has can lead towards one losing their sense of self, since this identity is grounded within what one has and not within whom one is. The next paradigm upwards from having is the paradigm of doing. The paradigm of doing is also the paradigm of responsibility. Within this paradigm, one accepts the idea that they are fully responsible for their present situation, and thus they identify with all that they have done, all that they are currently doing, and all that they will continue to do to reach a life of abundance. This paradigm is slightly higher than that of having, since one acknowledges that it is not what they have that is important, but that which they have consciously or unconsciously done up until this point, and that which they will continue to do. Evidently enough, by doing, the having rises or declines with the effectiveness of the one living in the doing paradigm. The issue with the doing paradigm is that one may not know when enough has been done in order to reach a life of abundance. Thus, it is common for one to be stuck in a constant life of doing and never realizing all the good that has been accomplished and that they have already reached a life of abundance. Finally, the final paradigm towards abundance is that of being. By being someone who already has all that they want and need, while also being someone who does exactly what needs to be done, all the lower paradigms handle themselves. It seems easy to simply be or become someone who has the other paradigms handled, yet this paradigm of being, to be reached, requires attentive introspection to answer the question of one's own being. Who am I, and who do I want to become in this lifetime? Having a clear vision of one's being, paradoxically enough, is the hardest yet easiest path towards a life of abundance. The paradigm of being does not mean that one does not have anything or does not have to do anything. It is in fact the opposite. The paradigm of being requires not only abundance but also authenticity and freedom, which we'll cover later on. Because, to be honest, it is your job to figure out what abundance, authenticity, and freedom mean to you if you truly seek to live in the paradigm of being. In conclusion, identifying which paradigm you firstly and most often stay within is the first issue that must be handled in order to avoid certain vicious cycles that may hinder the attainment of an abundant life. One should even ask themselves if an abundant life is something that they want, since the road towards having everything you've ever dreamed of is not an easy path and therefore is not for everyone. In fact, I've been advised by an old mentor to pay attention during the ages of 25 to 30, as this is commonly enough where people give up on their dreams, consciously or unconsciously, of becoming the best version of themselves and instead accept a life of mediocrity. Ask yourself, is my life where I want it to be? And if not, am I willing to be flexible and change who I am to live a good life, a life of abundance? From Daseins Journal, a collection of philosophical thought.